And now we're gonna move on to our second speaker. For our second speaker, he will give us the topic, Today Challenges to Men and Our Catholic Faith Responses. But let me give here his brief introductory. He is a former college philosophy teacher. He is an author who writes in a variety of genres, including Catholic fiction. Besides being a part-time rectory caretaker, he is involved in various ministries, including St. Vincent de Paul, and most recently, he was recruited to be on his parish Responsible Faith Ministry Committee. He and his wife have led RCIA classes, and he is an auxiliary member of the Legion of Mary. He is a proud husband and a father, and he considers Jesus is his best friend. Fellow brothers, let us all welcome Mr. Michael Therrien.
Flash drive going, my presentation. Can you guys hear me? Because if you can hear me, then I won't bother using a microphone. And I think you can probably hear me. I'll move that up a little bit so I can see my notes. And
actually, the microphone's a bit loud.
Is this yes.
it won't matter. And that's only going to be on for a minute. My presentation, the slideshow's timed, so I won't be taking any questions, and hopefully I won't be taking any questions at all. But yeah, so we'll keep those till afterwards. So everyone's good, everyone can hear me? Yeah. All right, good. Brother Bong? All right. Okay, has this started, or do I press start? These MacBooks are not, I'm a PC guy.
Spacebar.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, if you can start it, then we're good. The last slide, last 10 minutes, if it comes off and I'm still here, you guys need to get me off. We're good? We're running? I guess in 1 minute it'll move on to the next one. Yeah. I'm going to read the first one. It'll be a little easier if I read it from here. The others, there's writing on them. By all means, look at them. I won't be referring to them. There is a need for a crusade of manliness and purity to counteract and undo the savage work of those who think that man is a beast. And that crusade is a matter for you, a matter for us. That's St. Jose Maria Escriva. Who are we as Catholic men? Father Joseph just gave us great biblical examples and of men of integrity, courage, faith, and I'm sure he could have gone on for at least another hour, easily. I want to start with Aristotle and St. Thomas Aquinas. Aristotle began the metaphysics with the greatest line, all men by nature desire to know. Aquinas was a great Aristotelian, so he said, I'm going to tweak that a little bit. All men by nature desire to know God. So both of them, two great thinkers, one of them Catholic, shows us that we are curious beings by nature. We want to know about ourselves. We want to know about the world that we live in. So how do we know ourselves? What are the things that define us? Our jobs, our social structures, right? I'm Gilles Therrien's son. This was a great thing. I went to work in a paper mill as a kid, and everyone's introducing themselves. And they were asking me my name. They didn't care who I was. They wanted to know, oh, so whose son are you? You know, are you Theo's son? No, that's my uncle, right? I'm Gilles' son. So I thought that was really interesting. I found that very biblical, because when you read the Bible, right, you get so-and-so's son, like you get the genealogy, so-and-so's son, so-and-so's, right, begat. So I thought that was very, very neat. We're known by, nowadays I'm known as Susan's husband because she's a great worker in the Legion of Mary. And anytime I'm around, then that's, basically my biggest ministry is making sure she gets to do what she needs to do because she does amazing work. And before that, well, we weren't Michael and Susan, we were Matthew's parents because it didn't matter who we were. There was a little kid at the piano who was playing Mozart and Beethoven and Chopin. And so it was like, oh yeah, so you are, well, it doesn't matter, we're Matthew's parents. So we're known by our relations. And we're also known nowadays through social media, we're known by our likes, right? You want to know who you are online? Download your Facebook profile like we've been told to do the last few months. That's who we are, right? You are the sum of all your likes. Existentialists come along and they say, you are the sum of your actions. So that's, the Facebook thing relates to this. So they say, you can always deceive yourself into thinking about, well, you think you're a great guy, but, you're abusive to your kids, you're abusive to your parents and to your spouse. You're not that great a guy. Stand back, look at your actions, see who you are, see what you've done, see the choices that you've made. Oh, my bomb's over here. So see the choices that you've made, and that's who you are. Now, granted, most existentialists aren't theists, so that makes it a little more interesting. But we're not looking at why we are who we are at this point. We're just looking at taking a step back and looking at what we've done, what our actions are. Actions speak louder than words. So we don't want to do that self-deception thing. Who does the world say you are? More importantly, excuse me, who does the world want you to be? We need to be aware that the world wants us to be someone, since that water didn't go down right. The world doesn't want us, the world wants us to be someone who reflects and shares its values, first and foremost. What are those values? Well, I'm going to throw some terms out. You've heard some of them. Gay marriage, tolerance, acceptance, inclusiveness, self-identity, self-identifying, individual truths, selfies. Like anybody who's older than 30 years old, this is like completely different to us, right? Selfies. You took a camera along so you could take a picture of something, not so you could show that you're in it. It's just amazing how everything is turned towards ourself and towards building us up and feeding our own egos. That's who the world wants us to be. Being non-judgmental, because that's very important. So we're constantly feeding the ego. We should always be putting ourselves first because it's a dog-eat world out there. It's a jungle out there. If we don't take and grab what we want when we want it, nobody's going to give it to us. That's the world's view. Somebody else thought that too. Adam and Eve, right? Eve grasped. She did not wait for God to give her the fruit. She grasped. And then Adam made it worse by blaming Eve. So here's a reflection. Are we the sum of our likes and our actions? Personally, when I die and my tombstone's up, I don't want it written, oh, he loved to watch MasterChef on Wednesday nights. That's not going to make me happy. It is what I like to do. I do enjoy that. But if that's what I'm known for, and that's what I go down through history for, that's my mark in history, that's what I'm going to be remembered by, I need to change that. I'm not crazy about that thought. So let's look at a few of the challenges that we face. It's amazing that both Father Joseph and I can basically talk about the same thing, and there will be no overlap in anything that we've said. So you'll get a wide range on this topic. So the results of following our own natural, curious, ego-driven, pleasure-seeking fallen natures. Let's look at the news. I'm going to refer to the states, but we're 10% behind, right? So opioid epidemic, venereal disease epidemic, euthanasia laws that we've just passed, suicides not too long ago, celebrity, I don't know what the occasion was, some woman standing on stage celebrating her abortion. And thousands of people there cheering her on. What world do we live in? I don't remember who the celebrity was. The world is a horrible place. And so we escape, right? This creates a tension in us because we're Christian, we're Catholic. This creates a tension in us. So how do we escape it? Well, through every vice that there is, right? We've got overworking. We've got drinking, drugs, pornography, video games, anything to escape the reality that this is sometimes an unpleasant world. So we become addicted to all these sins. All the ones that are supposed to be making us happy. And we hear this every Sunday, every Mass that we go to, every priest tells us, sin enslaves. You think it makes you happy, it enslaves you. So it's nothing new. Here's a fact. Our environment influences who we are as men. But the root cause of our unhappiness goes back more than 2,000 years ago. Pontius Pilate asked Jesus, I'll put the emphasis on the word I want today, what is truth? Pontius Pilate was a Roman. He knew what truth was. He's judging Jesus, this Hebrew man. He knew what Jesus' truth was.